What is up, YouTube? It's Comic Zealot, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you 10 things that really help improve my mental health. So I have not directly mentioned this yet, but I do suffer from several disorders. I have PTSD, anxiety, and chronic severe depression. And I've been dealing with depression and anxiety since I was about 13, so over half of my life, and PTSD I have had for the last 12. And within the last year, I have really been able to collect a lot of things and tips and techniques that have helped me get through some of my tougher days, and I thought that I would share it in hopes that one person views this and listens to what I have to say and actually uses one of these things to help them. That would make it worth it for me. So here are 10 things that help me with my depression and my anxiety. Number 1 is my weighted blanket. My mom got this for me for Christmas. They are a little bit pricey, but if you are crafty, there is a way to make them. And I know on Pinterest there are people that have made them and kind of explain how to do it. But basically it's like a quilt. It's broken up into sections, and each section has an amount of like beads, like weighted beads. And so the weight's evenly distributed. And they usually weigh from 15 to 25 pounds, these blankets. And you would think that that would make you get really hot, but it does not do that. I don't understand the technology. I don't know how you don't get hot laying under one of these things, but you don't. It's just that feeling of being enclosed. It just makes you feel really safe, and it really relaxes you. And I use mine every night. I don't sleep with it because it's too heavy, but at the end of the day, when I'm reading or I'm watching a movie or something, I always have that blanket over me, and it's something that I use every single day. If you have the means, if you can make one, or if you can find one for a good price, I would highly recommend a weighted blanket. Number 2 are essential oils. My therapist has a lot of different essential oils. She has blends, but then she has pure oils too. And every time I go to her, she tells me I can pick one to put on. Some of them are really just to lift your mood because they smell good. Other ones have medicinal purposes. I really started to believe in essential oils when one day I went to her and I had a really bad headache, and she told me to use peppermint oil. And you just put a little drop on your index fingers and rub it on your temples. And it doesn't make the headache go away. I'm not going to claim that because for me it did not do that. But it did relieve the pain. It's an anti-inflammatory. So it kind of just gives you a little bit of a tingling sensation, and it takes the edge off. It doesn't make it completely better, but it takes the edge off for sure. Other oils that I use regularly, there's one called Litsia. I think it's a flower. I have no idea. But that one just smells really good. It helps with anxiety. I use citrusy ones a lot for mood lifters, for energy, and of course lavender and like chamomile. Those are good for relaxing, but there are dozens and dozens of pure essential oils, and then you can mix them together and make blends. You can wear these little beads inside like a necklace, like a locket, and they're stones with little holes in them. And you put like 2 drops of an essential oil on the stone. It soaks up the scent, and it lasts for at least a week. So you can wear them that way. You can put it directly on your wrist. Bottoms of your feet also is a very popular place. Your temples. Really, if it's for something to do with pain, the area that you have experiencing pain. So like, I'm a girl, so I get cramps, and there's an essential oil that helps with that. You just put it around your abdomen. I think they really help. They're not a long-term solution, but being around things that smell nice, it lifts the mood, it makes you feel better, it relaxes you. And using essential oils, it's all natural. So I prefer those over using something like an air freshener because there's chemicals involved in those usually. So number 3 is journaling. Now, I haven't really been good at this lately, I'll be honest. I have found some of these other things on my list to be more beneficial, or just things that I think of more than journaling. There's a lot to be said about opening up an app, getting a piece of paper, and writing out how you feel, especially when you're feeling your worst, because those moments do pass. Usually you don't, at least for me, I don't look back when I write really awful things down about how I feel about myself. I don't go back when I'm feeling better and look at that, but I think it's a process that helps you get through that bad storm faster. Seeing it all written down sometimes can snap you out of it. If you look at what you wrote about yourself and you reread it, it can kind of click that, you know, it's BS and your mind's just playing tricks on you or whatever. I tend to journal, but I don't do it that often. Like I said, I tend to utilize some of these other things, but I do recommend journaling. I do recommend having a notebook on standby, especially one that's small enough to carry around, just in case. What's good about journaling is that you don't have to always journal the bad stuff. So one thing that I'm doing in my bullet journal is I have, at the end of every month, I have a page where I just start writing all the good things that happened that month. So I have quite a few things that I think were good that happened this month. So when I'm down, I turn to that page and I look at those things and I think back about those things. So that's another way it can help you, not just getting out all the negative emotions you feel at the moment, but having that page of blessings or good memories or whatever you want to call it to look back on your dark times. However you want to do it, literally writing out things in journal format or doing a bullet journal and being more artistic about it, I highly recommend it. Number 4, healthy distractions, aka whatever makes you happy without judging yourself for it and without letting other people's judgments of you affect you. That's pretty much how I live my life. When I first started going to therapy, it was because I felt like I didn't know how to cope with things because all I did was distract. And yes, when all you do is distract, that's bad. You shouldn't really strictly do any of these things just solely. I would turn on a movie. I would binge a show. I would, go get in my car and drive. And I thought, well, I'm not really dealing with my problems. I'm just distracting, which is true in a sense. But when you're really caught up in your emotions, you have to step away to get them a little bit more under control. You can't really process, at least I can't, really process what's going on in the midst of it. So I have to get some distance before I can really tackle it. Whatever it is. Obviously, you know what mine are. Subscription boxes, my cat, comics, pops, shows, movies, reading. I mean, those are my distractions. They are what they are. People will judge me. People will make comments about it. Don't listen to them, because if you struggle with mental illness, it's a big struggle to get to any point of happiness or euphoria. And if those things do that for you, at least for a split second, who cares what anyone else thinks? Do what you love. Distract yourself with what you love, no matter what it is. If it's a healthy thing for you, obviously, we're not talking, drugs or alcohol or anything. Anything that is a healthy distraction, surround yourself with it. And don't let you judge yourself, and don't let others judge you. Number 5, going for a drive or changing the scenery. And it kind of goes along with what I just said about how when distractions can be helpful. When you're really caught up in something, you have an extreme emotion, whatever it is, you kind of gotta step back and just get a breath of fresh air. And that could be literal or not. I like to go in my car and I like to just drive for 25, 30 minutes. Just sometimes the music is on. Usually the music's on, but I don't call my mom or anybody. I just drive and I just kind of observe what's going on around me, as you have to do when you drive, and only focus on that. Don't think about what is bothering you. Just drive and let your mind just kind of relax for a little bit. Changing the scenery is huge for me. I used to drive a lot more than I do now, but I still at least once a week get in the car and go for a drive like this, and it does help, partially because I enjoy driving. If you don't enjoy driving, then this won't be for you. But I love driving, I love my car, and I like the certain route that I take on the highways because you can see the city from several angles and it's really pretty. So I take joy in it. That's because I like to drive. Number 6 is group therapy. It helps me. It won't help everybody. This is just a list of what helps me. I went to individual therapy for a while before I found a group therapy. It's not really, what I go to is technically not therapy. I mean, it is, but it's not like where we all sit in a circle and we all just talk about our problems. It's like a class and we learn about how to deal with our problems in a healthy way. But being around peers that suffer any kind of mental illness is really helpful for me, because then I don't feel alone. A lot of times in the midst of an episode, you feel very alone. At least I do. Meeting these people that struggle but are also here to learn and are here to support you and you support them, it's a very strong thing. And I've been going to this particular group for almost a year now, and I couldn't recommend it enough. The kind of therapy I go to, or this class, is a DBT class. DBT stands for Dialectical Behavioral Therapy. It's a very well-known type of therapy. I would recommend looking it up. It really focuses on coping strategies when your emotions seem out of control. And it really can help with a lot of different things and a lot of different types of mental illnesses. So number 7 is meds. And I have had very bad luck with my meds. Taking pills for something that's imbalanced in your brain, which is what mental illnesses are. There's nothing to be ashamed of for that. And I used to be ashamed of that. I used to think, I'm a very prideful person. I used to think, I can just do this. I don't need any help from anybody or anything. I should just be able to deal with it. When you're diagnosed with the things that I am, it became very obvious that, I really can't. I don't think my meds help much, I'm gonna be honest. But I know when I don't take them, I feel way worse. So they gotta be doing something. Pills are designed to help regulate what's off balance in your brain. And I've tried 6, 7, I've lost count now, different types of meds. This one may or may not be working that well. Don't give up. Keep going to that psychiatrist and keep asking for higher doses or a med change or whatever. Hardly anyone gets it right the first time. I didn't realize it would be this long of a road, but it's not uncommon because there are a lot of different types of meds and a lot of different chemicals that could be off in your brain. So like it's not gonna, you're gonna have to go through probably quite a bit before you find a right one. There is a right one out there. There is a right mixture out there. A lot of people take meds. It's not anything to be ashamed of anymore, nor should it have ever been something to be ashamed of. Number 8 is something called opposite action, and that is kind of what it sounds like. It's a DBT skill, so it's one of the things that we talk about in my group. It's basically forcing yourself to do something that you know you need to do, or that you know you probably want to do, but you don't feel like it. It's faking it until you make it. There'll be times where I just don't feel like getting out of bed. I'm just having a bad day, but it's the day I'm supposed to see my brother. And so I manage to drag myself out of the house. And then once I'm with him, I feel better. It's putting yourself in situations where you're anxious to show that nothing bad's going to happen, picking yourself up and getting through the day when you don't want to. That's really all it is. But I find myself doing opposite action all the time and just forcing myself to get out of my comfort zone and to do things that I know I either should do or I want to do, or in normal situations I would want to do. It is very effective. Getting out of the house. Once you're out, usually your mood just balances out a little bit. Going to the gym, if you don't want to go to the gym, putting on the gym clothes, which would be opposite action, it pushes you toward the right direction. I don't think I really am explaining this very well, but pretty self-explanatory. Number 9 is one of the most effective things for me personally, and it's finding somebody that you love and trust and talking to them about how you feel and letting them do what DBT specialists call check the facts. My brain lies to me. Our brains lie to us all the time, whether you have mental illness or not, but especially if you have mental illness, your brain lies to you constantly, and it is a constant battle to just get through life because your brain is trying to sabotage you at every moment. And sometimes when you go through things, it can be a very coherent thought, and sometimes it's not. When you are experiencing coherent thoughts and emotions, I challenge you to go to somebody that you trust and talk about those things. Talk about how you feel about yourself, and let them, as an objective person, tell you that that's BS. Tell you that what you're feeling about yourself is BS. Because your friends will do that. Because they don't think the bad things about you that you think about yourself. Obviously, they love you. Your mom doesn't think the bad things that you think about yourself. Obviously, she loves you. Or whoever it may be in your life. I usually talk to a friend of mine, and I just tell her about what I'm feeling, and she will rebuke that. Once you say it out loud, it can help in itself, but having that friend reassure you that what you're feeling isn't wrong. Don't think what you feel is wrong necessarily, but realize that what you feel is not an actual fact, though. And having someone prove to you that what you feel is not an actual fact, that helps. That helps to talk you down and to calm you down a little bit. Number 10 is called Cope Ahead, and that one is, again, kind of like opposite action. It's kind of like how it sounds. You think about a situation that you know of in the future that would make you nervous, anxious, panicky, whatever. It usually has to be something specific. Think about that situation playing out and think about the worst case scenario, which you think would make you feel more anxious. And that might be true, but what it's doing is it's showing you, here's the worst that can happen, but then here's how you're going to get through it. So you talk through the whole thing to yourself. You think about the worst thing that could possibly happen with whatever this is, but then think about what you can do to combat that. Because when you're thinking in the coping ahead, you're not in that emotional state yet. You are calm. You are in a rational state of mind. So you're able to think about all the different things you can utilize in that anxious moment that's going to come up. So that's when you think about it. You don't go to that situation and have an anxiety attack and then try to think about what to do, because it's not going to come usually, because you're so wrapped up in it. So this just allows you to think about things before they happen and think, well, if this happens, then I'll do this. And if this happens, I'll do this. The anticipation is almost always worse than the actual event. And so this Cope Ahead really helps, because once you go through the event, you'll realize that wasn't so bad. So Cope Ahead is something that I use a lot, and it really helps me. So those are the 10 things that I could think of that really help me on a daily or weekly basis with the mental illnesses that I have. And I hope, again, that somebody sees this that could benefit from hearing any of the things I talked about. And if you want any more information about any of this, or you have questions, you can just leave a comment below. Leave a comment below if you use any of these things, if you feel comfortable talking about it. I'd love to hear that. Otherwise, like I said, I just hope that I reach somebody and that someone can benefit from the techniques that I've used to help them, because 10 years ago I wish that there had been a YouTube that I had found of explaining some of these things, so I could have used these things 10 years ago, because I could have used these things 10 years ago. That's it from me. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Give me your feedback. I'd really appreciate it. And the shout out for this video goes to Amy McLean. She's one of my favorite YouTubers, and Amy, I really appreciate that you support my channel. It means a lot to me. I love your videos. You have such a cute personality. I love hearing about all the films and books that you read and what they're about, and I like the challenges that you do. You have a really solid channel, and I am happy that I found you, and I'm glad that you support me back. So Amy McLean, the shout out is to you. And with that being said, until the next time, peace.